How you doing? Back with another infinite flight video. Today I'm going to be going over the process that I use for flying the traffic pattern. I'm at this airport, F.D. Roosevelt in the Caribbean. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my plane ready for flight. I'm in a Cessna 208 Caravan with this French West livery. So let me go ahead and get started. Oops, that's too high. Get my rate of climb set, my airspeed that I'm going to be using for today's set, the runway heading set, and initial trim at 3, and then I'm going to call for my taxi.
Thank you, station Unicom, French West 698, taxiing to runway 06.
06 is right there. And since I have to back taxi and I'm on Unicom, I'm going to call for my crossing the runway.
Thank you, station Unicom, French West 698, crossing runway 06.
So, as you know, in Infinite Flight, they put a huge requirement on landings. After I do this first flight, I'm only going to make one as an example. I'm going to take off, do the traffic pattern, and land, and then I will show you what I'm talking about.
Thank you, station Unicom, French West 698 is taking off runway 06, remaining in the pattern.
Alright, let me get spun around here. Get lined up on the runway. And you can't tally. You know, one time my computer froze and I got hit. I should say my tablet froze and I got hit with a violation. I couldn't unfreeze the screen. I would think I was using my phone. So let me get in the air, rotate at about 71, 74, so make sure we are lined up. I'm going to hit that to get on the runway heading, and our speed is up, so I'm going to set our elevation, bring the flaps up, and set my trim. Then I'm going to get my airspeed up to about 110. So while I'm climbing, it should go to 105. So as you see here, I'm going to do traffic patterns with the automatic pilot set. I'm going to go ahead and get that clued in there and set this back. And there is, let me do this one more time. There. All right. And so I'm going to fly these traffic patterns on automatic pilot. When I get to 900 feet, I'm going to call out my first turn. It's an 80-degree turn. I'm going to stay on left crosswind. It's an 80-degree turn to 343. And then after the wings flatten out, as we make this turn, I can even come back here and check. And as I flatten out, I'm not even going to let it get too far. I'm going to call out my next turn. And it's a 180-degree turn from the initial runway heading. And that would be 243. I don't know what I turned it so far for. 1, 2, 3. So that'd be 243. There. And you could actually watch that. So there, we're going to fly that downwind. So, and the reason I do this is because Infinite Flight puts so much emphasis on landings that in those first 90 days, you got to get 200 landings in. And for a person like me, I work 2 full-time jobs. I don't have time to be flying that much. And so I have to maximize an hour. And in an hour, I can get somewhere between 6 or 7 landings in. The problem is fatigue. And so how would you combat fatigue? You combat fatigue by letting the automatic pilot handle 3 turns, and you handle the takeoff and the landing. So when I come in for landing, after I make my my final turn, I'll go ahead and take the automatic pilot off, land, take off, and then reset the automatic pilot. So let's see where we are. We'll check our position on the map. So we still have a little bit of distance we need to fly out. I don't really try to get to the 1,000. I'm not that pressed if I don't get to the 1,000-foot mark for entry. If I do, great. Because the Cessna 208 is a really, really easy plane to fly. I love flying this plane. You can check its characteristics. I would say do the research online to find out what its takeoff and landing parameters are, okay? But watch how I handle this. I'll try to talk about it as I do it. So here's my first turn.
Thank you, Station Uniform. French West 698 is on left base. Runway 06.
I'm going to take off some of my speed. Check my position based on the map. I'll let the wings flatten out. As the wings flatten out, I'll let it come through the turn, and then I'm going to go ahead and call in final. And then I'm going to make the turn back to 63 degrees. And I'm not going to take this automatic pilot off until the plane finishes its turn. And as it finishes the turn, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going full flaps, automatic pilot off, and then I'm taking control of the plane. And I'm going to line up on the runway. And I can do this. The longest I think I've done this for is about 2 hours. But I'm going to tell you, imagine that you were trying to fly traffic patterns for an hour, even 30 minutes, and you were flying freehand. What would happen to you is you would become exhausted. Something else I do to maintain the plane is I will put the brakes on to slow the plane down. So in case I'm dealing with a crosswind, which I'm not today, there's less chance that my plane will go out of, I don't know why this is saying that I'm off to the, maybe I should move over a little bit. I'm a little under the glide slope. I'll move over to the right a little bit. But when you have a crosswind with this aircraft, it can get a little squirrely. And so I would say pay attention to the weather. And if you see you're flying your pattern and you have a crosswind, go ahead and put the brakes on. You land this thing, the stall speed I believe is about 60 knots, and it will stall. And so what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and start my flare and very gently go to idle and set it down. And there you have it. And we're back on the ground. 20 knots, and I'll take the brakes off, release the flaps, put the trim up, speed down, bring this down to 0, hop out the aircraft, go down to the turnaround point. And it's just like that. And so what I would have done if I were going to keep flying, I would have just put the flaps up 10 and make sure my trim is set, because sometimes when I land, when I'm doing my traffic patterns, I'll put the trim to 10 on the approach, on 10 degrees. But using this method, especially this video, and again, remember, I only make videos for beginners. As far as people that have been flying for years, I wouldn't even assume to tell anybody, and I don't make videos to tell people what to do. These are just suggestions. This is what I do, because, like I said, I don't have time. I mean, 200 landings in 90 days for me is a lot. It might not be for somebody else, but like I said, I work a lot. And the other thing is, you want to be somewhere where you know you're not going to be bothered. You want to go to an airport where there's not a lot of planes landing. Since I've been doing this, one plane has come to this airport. Like, I'll go somewhere on another region, and I'll fly, and there won't be anybody coming in. But you want to go somewhere where there's Unicom, you know. You don't even want to be somewhere where it's a controlled tower, because then you're at the mercy of somebody else. You need to be in control of everything, but you have to be very decisive, because like I said, you can get dinged for sitting around. I don't know why this plane is still drifting off to the right. You see that? The drift? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and I'll speed up a little bit. And let me brake, make this turn, and after I cross the whole short line, let me call this in.
Thank you, station is Unicom. French West 600, 988 is clear of all runways.